With the recent release of Thorns Alter, aka Tragodia, on the CN server, we finally have the complete roadmap of all the upcoming operators until December this year. In one of my previous videos, I talked specifically about the upcoming limited banners. So today's video is going to be all about the non-limited, or standard, operators. I know the upcoming limited operators are too good to skip, but there are many non-limited operators that are just as good as the limited ones. Therefore, I'm going to go through all the non-limited operators coming up, including the rerun ones, and figure out which ones are worth pulling, whether for meta, cool mechanics, or purely for waifu reasons. You'll definitely find the operator you need. With that being said, let's not waste any more time and get straight into the video. Before I begin, I should mention that since there are a lot of operators on the list, I won't be going into every little detail about their kits, otherwise, the video would be way too long. So instead, I'll only focus on what makes each operator special and worth considering for your account. At the time I'm making this video, the Thorns Alter banner is still up, so let's talk about him for a bit. I know most of you probably either already pulled him or decided to skip him anyway, so I'll keep this short. As you know, Thorns the Lobster is the first 6-star alchemist in the game with a very interesting kit. He's kind of an all-rounder unit who can deal with waves of weak enemies, elites, and even bosses. But what holds him back from reaching top-tier status is his clunky playstyle, from his mediocre talent, and weird skill targeting to the amount of micromanagement needed for his third skill to be effective. That can be a deal-breaker when you can just drop someone like Minemoon and sweep the map without needing a 1000 IQ brain. But despite all that, he's still a fun and decent unit. I pulled him, and I have no regrets. It felt like a breath of fresh air after constantly using meta operators doing a billion damage just to kill a peasant. So if you're looking for meta value and you're a new player, I recommend skipping him. But if you like collecting diverse operators like me, then by all means, go get him if you haven't already. Next up after the lobster, we get Mommy Degenbrecher. This will be her first rerun on Global, and her banner will come alongside her event. Well, not much needs to be said about her, since a lot of people already have her. And you should too if you need a guard who is easy and comfortable to play, while also being one of the top meta guards beside Uncle. Degenbrecher is a 6-star Swordmaster guard. Swordmasters are known for having offensive recovery-type skills, meaning you need to hit enemies to gain SP. This can be either good or bad depending on the situation. But here's where she stands out. She's currently the only Swordmaster with an auto-recovery skill, and it's her best one. This skill made all other guards in her archetype irrelevant. Not only does the skill have great multi-target damage, but she also becomes invulnerable, ignoring all damage, stuns, and whatever nonsense enemies throw at her. Plus, her talent disarms enemies, denying them the chance to lay a hand on her. Overall, she is a 10 out of 10 operator that everyone should have. Moving on. After Degen Mommy, we'll see a new Reaper guard called Entelechia. So what makes her special? Aside from doing the usual Reaper stuff, she's the first Reaper guard with a support-style DPS skill. Her second skill creates a ring around her and another operator, as shown in the video. The ring deals constant damage around both of them. Think of it like my wife's second skill, but dealing physical damage. The crazy part is that it has global range, meaning no matter where you deploy the last operator, she'll give them the ring. This opens up tons of synergies, especially with fast redeploy units. Her third skill is also very unique. When activated, she gains extended range, increased attack speed, and summons 3 candles on the ground enemies with the highest HP within her range. These candles are special targets that only she can attack. They copy 60% of the enemy's current HP and inherit their defense and resistance. When she attacks a candle, the original enemy takes the same amount of damage as true damage because it completely ignores dodge, shields, resistance, and barriers. Even though she doesn't power creep FedEx, but she's a great side grade. In certain situations, you might find one performing better than the other. So if you already have FedEx, she's not a must-pull, especially since FedEx will become even stronger with the release of Apple Pie Alter and Lemon. But if the cool vampire lady with a scythe propaganda works on you, then sure, I know you'll pull her, and you have my support. Next up after the red vampire lady is my wife's sister, Eblana, also known as Necrass. So what's her deal? Imagine if the guy from Sister Leveling got tired of aura farming and got isekai'd into Arknights. Well, then you get this if evil Y hot lady. She's the first 6-star Shaper caster, same archetype as Techno from the Thorns banner. Despite being a caster, she can hold a lane on her own thanks to her tanky summons from her 3rd skill. And her 2nd skill can be used to stall enemies by putting them to sleep. She's less of a caster and more of a summoner like Ling, but what makes her better is that she's way easier to play. You don't need to micromanage her summons. They spawn on their own as long as enemies are dying in her range from thirst. Then she revives them and makes them her pawns. She may not be meta, but she's a solid, well-balanced unit. Definitely not for the meta slaves, but absolutely for the sister lovers. I mean, just get her for the sake of her sister. A legend once said, 2 sisters in bed are good for your mental health. Next, we have Monster. She's similar to Calcid, a DPS disguised as a healer. But what makes her different is her ability to buff other operators by granting them increased attack and attack speed. Only her 3rd skill is DPS-oriented, where she becomes the monster and starts ripping and tearing through enemies with true damage. Her damage output is no joke, and she doesn't rely on healers to stay alive either, since she can self-sustain. All of this makes her one of the top units on this list, right next to Degenbrecher. Okay, moving on, the next operator is Ascalon. Her banner will rerun during the Babel event rerun. Yes, the Depression Age will return again. Ascalon is an ambusher specialist. Their job is to slow down enemies and deal arts damage. They have 0 block because they don't want peasants touching them, kind of like real-life girls when they find out you play gacha games all day. I won't say much about her because either a lot of people already have her, or even if they don't, I'm sure they won't spend a single red balls on her banner. Because right after her rerun, we're getting Exu Alter's banner. You know what that means. So, hold your gacha demon inside during that time. It'll be worth it. Finally, we've reached the last operator of the year, and it's none other than the boy who finally got justice after being sent into early retirement by these 2 bimbos. Well, Phantom is back. With the cat. Yes, he literally has a cat as part of one of his skill. Phantom Alter, aka Tragodia, is a 6-star ritualist support who specializes in nervous impairment damage, which is a type of elemental damage. His talents let him spread that damage to enemies near the main target and reduce their attack speed. His first skill is good for AFK playstyles, and it can interrupt enemies by binding them. His second skill is probably his best skill. It has unlimited duration and lets you deploy a cat like a fast redeploy unit anywhere on the map, any number of times. The cat lures enemies, then vanishes, leaving them to take elemental damage every second. The cat baiting works so well that even Tectone would feel ashamed. And unfortunately, no, you can't lure enemies into holes with the cat, which is sad. Otherwise, Weedy could have lost her job as Blemishy wouldn't need her anymore for putting everyone into the holes. His third skill creates a cage around enemies affected by nervous impairment burst. The cage absorbs 3 hits before disappearing. Pair this with the paralysis from the nervous impairment burst, and you can avoid multiple hits from enemies. Very useful for dealing with hard-hitting bosses. I'd love to talk more about his kid, but I'll save that for a future video when he's closer to release on Global. So, for now, just know that he's a strong unit with tons of utility and great stalling potential. It would be unwise to skip someone like him. Now that we've covered the list, let me give my final thoughts. Value-wise, These 3 operators take the top spot. They're as good as limited ones. For meta DPS, Degenbrecher and Monster should be your top priority. For elemental support and great utility, Phantom Alter is a solid choice. With everything he brings, he's going to be one of the best elemental damage supports next to Virtuosa. Go for Necrass and Entelechia for waifu reasons only. Personally, I prefer Necrass for the waifu reason, of course, so they're not must-pulls. And I honestly have nothing more to say about Ascalon. She's a fine unit, but since her banner drops right before Exu Alter, her value falls straight to the bottom. There will also be 2 special banners between all of these, featuring another chance to get Ulpianus and logos. Degenbrecher will also make another appearance on one of them. It's already too much for F2P players to handle, so be optimistic but realistic, because we all know you won't be able to get everyone. Which of these operators are you pulling for or skipping? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, feel free to ask any questions or share your thoughts in the comments. Well, that wraps up today's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.